I used to hear people say that love is a good thing, and I can testify to that, that love is indeed, it's a beautiful thing. Today I want to share my story of how I met Steven. In 2021 of December, I was on my Instagram, bored, scrolling on my Instagram, and I came across this ad of Christian Mingle, and I was so curious what was on there. I didn't I didn't even know what happens there. And so curious me downloaded the app and fill in your details and all of those things. And so when I finished filling up my details, and you could see people who are available, and my man was one of the people who were available. And so, but I didn't know how it worked. I was swiping right, thinking to myself that I'm doing next. But it meant that I liked the person. I found out afterwards, I told my friends, and they laughed at me. That's fine. But I swiped right all the time, thinking that I was swiping next. But anyway, I was like, oh, there's really nothing here that I'm looking at, okay? And so I was like, anyway, that's fine. I'll not look at it anymore. And so my man, Steven, reached out to me and he said, hi. And I was like, oh, someone is talking to me. um, and so I answered hello, and he was like, how you doing? And you know, he was very respectful. That's how men should behave, very respectful. And he just wanted to know me. And something that really stuck out to me was he wanted friendship with me first before he introduced lovey-dovey situation. So he started asking me questions. How am I doing? Like, am I Christians? Of course, some people can be on the app, they're not Christians. But he just wanted to find out, you know. And so he like asked me, what has the Lord been doing in my life? How am I seeing God work in my life? And to me, I was like, oh, do boys do ask those things? But anyway, that was so amazing to me that he like asked me about how I was doing and how, what do I feel the Lord calling me to. So I told him that I'm a missionary and the Lord has just like sent me out to kids, and how much just I love kids and how the Lord thinks about kids, and just reading the scriptures and finding out more and more what the Lord has for the kids. And it was just so amazing that he is a good listener, you know. He just doesn't listen with his ears, but he also listens with his heart. And for me, in my past relationships, it was hard because it was more of what can you offer. And being in a relationship with him is so different. So we talked for a while, just messaging on the app, and because he had paid a subscription, so I was able to talk to him. So I was like, can we message on iMessage and not on this app? He was like, oh, I don't know how that works, because I live in Zambia and he lives in America. So I was like, how does that work? I was like, it's okay, iMessage can work as long as you have data. And so we exchanged numbers and we started messaging each other, and like he would just ask me how I'm doing, how was ministry, and how did I see God work today. And it was, for me, I just needed a person like that, you know. And so when we began to talk and exchanging how our days were and all of those things, and on that, there was a day that I went to do kids ministry. That was a very devastating day of my life. I went to do kids ministry and it started pouring heavily, raining, and I had no umbrella on. I don't have a car, and so it started raining. I got soaked, and my phone got soaked and died. And I was freaking out, because it's like, oh, I don't know his phone number, I don't know how to get to him, what am I gonna do? He's gonna think that I just ghosted him, you know. And it was hard for me. And I stayed for like a week or 2 weeks without a phone because I was like, what am I gonna do right now? And so I had to ask a phone for my friend, and she borrowed me a phone. And I went back to the app because that's where we exchanged numbers. And I got his number and I messaged him back. I was like, hey, I'm sorry. This is what happened. My phone got rained on. I'm really sorry. And he was very understanding. He's like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. And so he was like, I have been praying and I feel like the Lord wants to bless you with a phone. And the fact that he said the Lord wants to bless you with a phone, and he told me no strings attached. By that time, he's not asked me to be his girlfriend. He's like, no strings attached. The Lord wants to bless you. And to me, I went straight off. I showed my best friend. I'm like, can you read this message? And she read it. She was like, he said no strings attached. Like, he's just wanting to get to know you, and he just wants to bless you with this. And immediately he sends me money. He sends me money to buy a phone, and to me that meant a lot because I'm like, who does that? Who would send money across the world to someone you don't even know? And that was strange, first of all. But I was like, the Lord, he does mysterious ways. For me, I was like, okay, this is the Lord, because a normal person would not do it. Like, literally, a normal person in their own senses, this is a very strange thing. And for me, he sent money, and immediately I got a phone. And I was like, hey, I ordered a phone and it'll be here in less than a week. Okay. And so in that moment, I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, Lord, how can someone trust another person so easily? Because in my life I struggled with trusting people because of how I was treated and how just things happened. And so it was not a reality to me. And so my phone came in, and I FaceTimed him. I was like, hello, I got the phone. And I was really excited to like show him the phone, and it was just amazing. And then I started showing him around. We started FaceTiming each other. I started showing him around what I do and where I live and all of those things. So by that time, I lived at the office, like the workplace where I worked. They had houses for single people that they could stay in, and so I had to show him around. And he's like, oh, what is that building? And I told him, oh, this is a building that when people come, students, we have an intensive program where students come from all over the world to come and get trained and just have 6 weeks with the Lord, just for them to say, Lord, I give you the 6 weeks, it's yours. And in that moment, he just got captured. He's like, I want to come. How can I apply? I want to just get away for 6 weeks and just be in the presence of the Lord. And for me, I was like, okay, these are the details. You apply, okay? And that was like in January. Here, kind of like applied. And in that same month, on the 24th of January, he asked me to be his girlfriend. He said, I feel like I like you, and I've put this in the feet of Jesus. And if this is not what you want, that's fine. You and me can still be friends, and I'll still come to Africa to see you. And for me in that moment, I was like, Lord, he's really a nice guy. Like, he's really, really a nice guy that he has to put his feelings, lay them down on your feet. Like, I laid them down. And I was like, okay, give me time, let me think about it, let me pray about it. I also pursued the Lord, prayed about it, about our relationships, because the past relationships, I didn't pray about them. And guess what? They happened. They all fell, crumbled. I couldn't even pick them up. And in that moment, I was like, Lord, I'm going to pray about this, and I'm going to ask you, you're going to give me direction if this guy is the one. And I prayed, I asked the Lord, and he said, yes, why not? Why not? And so I told him, I feel like the Lord is saying yes, and I definitely like you too. and let's give it a shot. Let's live one day at a time. Okay. And so we started dating, and just like pursuing each other in friendship, pursuing each other in love, and all of those things. In March of 2022, he came down here to Zambia to do the program, the intensive program that he had applied for at my workplace. He came to serve with the church. And so when he was coming, we prayed and asked the Lord that, what do you have for us in these 6 weeks? And so the Lord was just asking that we just put our relationship on hold for 6 weeks so that we can pursue the Lord, not pursue each other, pursue the Lord for those 6 weeks. And so we did. And when he arrived, I was nervous, like you've not met someone and you're meeting this person for the first time, you're like nervous. And it's different, like when he came, all of the students from all over the world, they traveled together and they were arriving, and that's when I got to meet him with other strange people, and it was crazy, but it was beautiful that I got to meet Stephen. And I was just so amazed. I was like, Lord, this guy has traveled far away, thousands of miles away, just to come and meet me and to meet you, like to meet you, Lord. And in those 6 weeks, we did kids ministry together, we did youth ministry together, we did hospital ministry, we did prison ministry, and just the Lord moved. The market ministry, he went, prayed for people, prayed for kids, prayed for parents, and that was amazing. He did house visits, and just him coming there, felt like he belonged here, like he just felt like he belonged. And everybody got to love him. Everyone was like, Stephen. The kids would call him Uncle Stephen, and running around playing with the kids. He's like, he didn't care getting dirty with the kid on him who is muddy and messy. He's like, I just want to embrace you. I just want to give you fatherly love. And to me, I was like, Lord, this guy, I'm taken. And secretly talking to the Lord, and just like seeing him being himself, watching him doing worship, just worshiping in the presence of the Father. He doesn't care whether I'm around. Like, how do I stand? Am I standing great? Do I have a great posture? I would see him weep in the presence of the Lord, and I'm like, Lord, I checked my list. He's doing well. He's doing well on my list, because that's what I wanted a man to be like, my man to be like. And just how much he showed as a leader, like he's a present person. He knows how to listen, not just with his ears or his knowledge, but also with his heart. He listens with his heart. He listens so well. And for me, just seeing him do ministry and just going after the Lord, that was like, yes, God. That was so amazing. And his 6 weeks came to an end, but he had to stay another month to get to know me. We resumed our relationship, get to know me, and I was like, Lord, I get to know him now. I'm a very fashionable person, and he's not, and for me, I was like, I'm gonna redo you. I'm gonna redo you, like getting new clothes, getting like things that really suit him well, and all of those things. But for me, mostly I got to fall in love with his soul. Like, he has a beautiful soul, He's a beautiful human, but he also has a beautiful soul. He's so kind, he's so generous. And in that 6 weeks, in that other month that we had left with, we get to know each other. But something that was different is that I come from a very communal culture, and he does not. He comes from a very individual culture, and that was something that was different for us. Okay, that was something that we were struggling with, because for me, I'm a very I'm a very I come from a very communal culture. It's about us, we, ours. But for him, it's I, me, mine, myself, and that was difficult for us. But also we trusted the Lord because He's a Lord that brings understanding. He's a God of peace. He's not a God of division. You know, and so when we find something hard in us, we prayed about it and asked God to help us, because it was hard. It was hard. And there were moments that it was very difficult for us to just agree with one thing, but we say, hey, what does the Lord has to speak into this? And that's really amazing. And I love that He's always the first one to apologize if something goes wrong. And I just love how much men in my culture don't do that. But like finding a man who comes down to a woman and say, hey, I'm sorry, I wronged you, I'm really sorry. And that was, for me, it was different. Getting emotional. It was different to just see a man apologizes to a woman. That was so different. And so he stayed with me. We got to know each other, got to go off of fun. He's a very adventurous person too, like me. We get to we had to go do adventurous stuff. He got to meet my parents. He got to meet my friends. We had to go to Livingston, where I grew up from. Showed him all the places I grew up in, and all of those things. And his time came to an end of visiting, and that was a very devastated time for me. Seeing him cross that gate at the airport, going to the other side, that was hard. I pray to the Lord that God, it's only you is going to strengthen us in this time, because it is very hard for us to just be on FaceTime all the time. He has to work, and he has to do all those things. And even though he's away, the hardest thing was also the kids would in the community, street kids, would they actually know him by his name, you know, like, where is Uncle Stephen? We've missed Uncle Stephen. Tell him to come back. Tell him to come and read for us. Tell him to come and play with us. It's a very hard situation when I get to tell them that he's gonna come back, but I don't know when. So that was really hard. And when he finally came back in January of 2023, this year, he came back and okay, we got engaged. We got engaged in February, and that was I never saw that coming, because in my family, I would say I'm the first one to get engaged. You know, like there are 3 generations, but I am like the first one to get engaged. And so, and like engaged and being in a relationship with a godly man. So that was a big thing for me. I didn't have words to even explain it, or even to say it, to even explain what I'm feeling, you know. Just, I would say the Lord has just been faithful, so faithful. And it's just the Lord's doing, you know. And that even now we engaged and we're too far away from each other, and which is hard, because we rely on like technology, how to keep our relationship stronger, and like updating each other every single day, how a day has been, and all of those things. And honestly, I can't wait to get married to him. Obviously, be in one place, because every time I try to get to America, the American embassy has denied me a visa. So it's like it has to be him all the time to come here, and that has been hard on me and on him, because we believe that the Lord brought us together from far away, from different culture, different worlds. I'm always in the future for him, so I'm his future wife, but I want to be in the present with him, because he's always 10 hours behind me. But yeah, I want to be in the future with him. I don't want him to be in my past. Like today is Wednesday, he's doing Tuesday, and it's crazy. And we always joke about that. But yeah, I pray that one day the Lord will bring us together, and he gets to see the kids around in the community, in the village. He just gets to embrace them and just be with them. So anyways, if you feel like you have been separated from your person, you know, there's still hope in everything. Even right now, I'm still hoping and trusting the Lord that one day He'll bring us together.